think it's
Ruth?
more of a family thing for me, especially not living close to family. So when I do get to go home, I get to spend time with my family. So the holidays to me is more of a time to just kind of re-up my family batteries is the way I like to think of it. Like, I'm a very social person and I have a lot of friends here at the hub, but it's different from when I go home and I can just like lean on my mother. I love my mom and I don't get to see her very often, or I get to go home and watch stupid football with my dad. I mean, I just like to do stuff like that. So for me, it's more of a vacation from my social life to going back to feeling like a kid and just relying on my parents for a little while, which I just now realized makes me sound super sad. But I enjoy it just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. But I enjoy it. I like to spend time with my family, and I like to have that reminder that I can still always just go home, even if I am an atheist and I don't agree with them. They still accept me wholeheartedly at home.
So does your whole family get together for Christmas?
Not very often, but especially not my two biological parents. No, that is absolutely a no.
Gotcha.
But like my sisters, if they can, everybody comes home. We either go to my mom's house or my dad's house. So.
How about you, Kimberly?
Well, so the first question of how Christmas has kind of changed over the years. I definitely still enjoy the season. I like the idea of people getting into gift giving and recognizing who's special to them and stuff like that. It's become a lot less about the gifts and more about spending time with people. And I don't quite have the same family connection because I don't go home for Christmas anymore. And I don't know if this is the right time to tell this story, but go for it. So this was probably about 10 or 12 years ago. My mom had remarried, and he had 3 girls, I think, and then there was me and my sister, and they were all married. And I was not a big fan of anybody from this new family. But we were having Christmas dinner, and one of I guess my stepsisters, I never really thought of them that way, but I guess they were, her husband starts telling all of these just absolutely awful jokes and stories. Like he wanted to pretend that he was part of the mob or something like that, and he told a story about beating up some mentally handicapped kid, like this was cool, and then started making lesbian jokes, which did not go down all that super well with me. And I tried to be polite and ask him to stop, and tried to ignore him as I could, but it just wouldn't stop. And I wound up throwing mashed potatoes and gravy on him and walking out. And I have not. Thank you. It is one of my prouder moments. But I haven't been home for Christmas since, and I made that really clear to my family. I was like, if you will not protect and and this place is not a safe space for me anymore, I won't be back. And that whole family is kind of gone from our lives now. But I've kind of kept it up because traveling at the holidays is such a pain in the ass. My folks are in New York. Nobody wants to visit New York at the end of December. It's miserable. So I just don't do it. I call them and stuff like that. My family is also super hard to buy gifts for because we're all kind of the same. We see something we like and we just go get it. So finding a gift is really, really tough. So that kind of stuff has kind of moved away from me family-wise.
Joe?
Ooh, this is a whole interesting because there's whole broad topics I could talk about, but I've got 3 kids. They're all older, 26, 24, 20. My oldest son informed me about a week ago that, I'm not going to be there for Christmas. I'm going to be, hanging out with friends. It's like, okay. So you have to start learning to let go some of those things too. And really, that's the only immediate family I have in this area are my kids. And their mom's up in Green River, Wyoming, which is a whole other story in itself. My family that I would get together with most likely would be my aunt, my uncle now, because my mom, my dad, my aunt are all gone. My uncle and my cousins are still down in Florida, so get together with them. But again, same type of thing. Traveling down there, especially, I wouldn't be able to bring all the kids down there necessarily unless it's very expensive. My dad's family I've got family up in Alaska. Oh, one year we actually, I think I'd moved out to Colorado after college, and my parents informed me that we were going to have Christmas up in Alaska. So that was actually a cool experience to go out there. So they paid for my flight up to Alaska. They came out from Florida. That was very cool family Christmas up there because I love my aunt and uncle up there and my cousins there too. So, but again, family is scattered so far around the country. There's no way we can get together. So it's really getting together with my kids, and they're starting to get older now. And so splitting out and having their own traditions. So still this year, my daughter and her fiance and my youngest son who lives with me are going to have some sort of get together. I've already got some presents for them, and they're poor, so they won't really have much in the way of presents to give. But
and there's so much pressure too, right, with families to be in the same place and to try to figure out like how to do that. And as relationships grow, and like you said, your kids start pairing off, and now they've got a whole nother family that they can disappoint on Christmas. It gets really tough.
Yeah, I think to that point, Kim, I've become very cynical about Christmas. I think, yeah, I do think. I think most people in general who take Christmas seriously as a holiday get more and more stressed out as the time goes, because everybody's schedule as you get closer and closer to Christmas gets more and more jammed up. You have more and more obligations, and it'll start, as you get closer, it's like every night that somebody, your neighbor, your coworker, somebody's got something you feel obligated that you should go to, and then people try to create this perfect family scene of like everybody, like a perfect Christmas morning, and people get so hung up on these crazy details and they forget about like actually being with each other.
So if you could reform Christmas, how would you do it?
Well, to me, it comes down to the idea of what does Christmas do? Like what does society get out of it? When I was a kid, I saw my mom striving to create a perfect Christmas for us kids, and she would go into debt, and she'd be paying off until February or March. As I got older, I started to realize that's, all religions demand sacrifice. And I think, like, if you're sacrificing your time and your money and your energy to try and create this Christmas morning, like, tradition, like, it's a ceremony. So it's like, I feel like that the idea that religions demand sacrifice. Like in if it was a truly secular holiday, you wouldn't have to give up so much to try and get something. And, some people love it. Some people get into Christmas. Some people, especially kids, if they're getting good stuff, tend to love it a lot. And older people, if they can get their families together, tend to love it a lot. But for most people who are like kind of at the prime of their life, it's just stressful. It's awful. And it can often lead, like I said, leads to debt and bad feelings.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be so cynical.
And it does, it's kind of and this is a little bit off topic, but it is kind of that thing with secular people, because there is still, I think, a need to celebrate. And there's a need to go out of your way to see people because time moves fast, and it's really easy to, I haven't seen that person now in 2 or 3 years. So I agree with you, like trying to pressure it all into a single day, I think is fairly ridiculous. But I do kind of like that spirit of, this is important. This is me connecting back with, if it's family or friends or loved ones, right? I think having something that kind of forces you to put in that effort so it doesn't just get lost in life, I think is kind of cool. So I think there's got to be like some kind of, middle ground between trying to put it all on one date and have this, Rockwell Christmas kind of crap that doesn't exist for anybody anywhere. But still take the time out to celebrate and to make sure the people you love know how much you love them, and to have that time with them.
Joe, what do you think about that?
Well, I was thinking that, and that's actually some of the things that are starting to change and happen now. Winter solstice parties now. One here at the Hub. I've also got an invitation from another friend that's saying they're having a winter solstice party as well. So I think people are starting to find other ways of practicing that sense of community and belonging and togetherness in different ways now.